what does an Indigenous future look like to me? Looks like us.
And why I'm so passionate about Indigenous futures, because the youth are the future and we will lead the way, and we're planting the seeds of a revolution. And I think that revolution is so imaginary and so expansive, and I think it includes us being liberated as well as like being so free. And I'm yearning for a freedom that our ancestors weren't granted, and I'm yearning a freedom for my future children and my future grandchildren, a freedom of imagination, a freedom of radical joy. And I think that's what is in store for an Indigenous future.
An Indigenous future means taking our traditions and cultural ideals, our values, our philosophies, our pedagogy, and incorporating that into the modern world. It doesn't mean like, oh, we completely go back to tribalism and completely go back to what things were before 1492. It's how can we exercise these Indigenous values and philosophies to better our society today?
Indigenous Futurism to me means dreaming outside of this world. It means being able to create whatever you imagine and seeing it real. It means having the right to learn what the people behind you know, what they knew in their sciences and their technology.
We're the youngest child compared to like all these trees, compared to all these vegetations that's around us. And so it's like, who are we to claim that we know the most? Who are we to claim that like we get to dominate the world and the land that we walk on? And for me, Indigenous future is to remember who we are in that timeline and to become humble and realize that that's something that can be passed down in the way that we just do art, in the way that we love, in the way that we do everyday things. It does not have to be something that's romantic. It can be in the here and now.
When I think of Indigenous futures, I think of peace, I think of community, I think of something better than what we have now. Not necessarily the past, but something that is enriched by the past into something that is greater than anything we've seen before.
It is us in our traditional ways, whether that's prayer, ceremony, birth ceremony, and taking care of one another, being a good relative.
I want to be able to touch other people's hearts and be able to share with them the future that I see. And the future that I see is Indigenous, and focuses on the Indigenous ways, and that's how I believe we can move forward into a better world for everyone.
I would wish for everyone to be able to live like I do. I don't believe that I cause harm to the earth. I believe that I work with the earth, and that's what I feel like that Indigenous future would look like, is us working together no matter where we come from. Indigenous or not, we're thinking Indigenous.
An Indigenous future is one focused on food sovereignty, on Indigenous sovereignty, restoring traditional gardens, bringing these traditional foods back to the people, being able to bring traditions back into our daily lives and back into our communities, and reviving the cultures that were once so alive a few hundred years ago is key to making sure that we're able to live in unison with the earth.
An Indigenous future to me means having our trade routes and having capitalism fall to the side, not having to be so stressed and worried and rushing, thinking about money or how we're going to take care of each other, but just taking care of each other and learning from other tribal nations and Indigenous peoples from Turtle Island and all around the world, how we can bring those prophecies to life.
Every decision that we are making now is very intentional, has so much purpose, has so much meaning, that will continue to be protected and supported by those who understand and those who are willing to take risk and to carry on this legacy of being Indigenous.